And welcome back. So, one of the major innovations in the gaming industry in the recent couple of years is a little thing called a non-fungible token.
Yeah,
It's probably of no surprise to hear, but we don't like them.
yeah,
I
we're
think it's
doing this. We're doing this. We've
yeah,
been
we're
resisting
taking
talking
them
about.
down,
We've been
crypto bros.
we've been resisting talking about this for God knows how long. But yeah, it's a thing now. We're stuck with it. The
Is
video game
it?
industry, yeah, the video game industry has decided they like it, so we're now stuck with this shit, and we're going to have to deal with it. But it's terrible. It's horrible. These things are bad. Like
Yes.
really, really bad. And it's not just for all the reasons that people usually say they're bad. Like everybody knows that there's the environmental issue with them, and they basically require you burn down the rainforest for absolutely no reason whatsoever to create these bloody things. And everybody knows that they're a scam, they're a pyramid scam, and the way that they're structured is such that the entire industry, the entire crypto industry, not just NFTs, but the entire crypto industry works on the basis that you're going to be able to offload your crap to somebody else, and then they're going to offload it to somebody else. It's exactly how a pyramid scam works. And if you do the maths, pretty sure that means that by the time you've got to get it to, if you get to 7 people, like if one person sells to one person who sells to one, the way the pyramid works is I think you only get 7 rounds, and then every single person on the planet has been bought into the scam. So if you're on the 4th or 5th rung, then you're just not going to be able to sell to anybody, and you're going to lose, and everybody above you makes all their money and you get nothing, and that is how it all works. Anyway, beyond those issues, the fact is that NFTs are going to screw with the way that games are made, the way that developers think about the way that games are made. And that is what annoys me, I think, more than anything else, as far as they are concerned with video games, that it's just another example of tech innovation coming to the detriment of what I like about games. You know, I like to sit down and play single player game for the most part with a narrative, and have that experience that I've been having since the Game Boy and the NES and the Super NES and early era PC games and whatever. And these days, there's just so little incentive for developers to make that stuff that they don't. The reason I haven't played a AAA game for like 12 months now is because they're just structured in a way that doesn't appeal to me. And the NFTs are just another level of that. I can't see myself ever actually wanting to play an NFT game, or a game that has NFTs in them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I struggle to look even as NFTs as an innovation because they don't do anything. So it means literally nothing. It's like having a piece of paper that says "I own your soul." It's that Simpsons episode. That's all it is. Is that one Simpsons episode where Bart sells his soul, and it's got to the point as well where if there is a game that has NFTs in it, I look at it and I'm like, you know what, I don't really want that. Although to be fair, it seems to primarily be like Ubisoft games at this point, which
Well,
is
that's a great example of just how crap these things are, because I mean, one of the things that NFTs are sold on is the fact that you own the asset, right? You buy an NFT, which, let's say it is a Ubisoft game. You buy an NFT of a gun, and then you can, because you now own that gun, you can do 2 things with it. One, you can sell it for profit, because that is what motivates a lot of people that have NFTs, the chance to make money out of it. And 2, you can, in theory, or this is how they try and position it anyway, the NFT bros, they say that you can transfer it between games. And because it's the asset that you own, the game developers are somehow obligated to make sure that you can use it in whatever game that they're creating as well. But that's never going to happen. I mean, Ubisoft isn't going to allow you to have an NFT in Ghost Recon Breakpoint or whatever, and then move it over to your Rainbow Six Siege game. That's not going to happen. That's what they try and say that it would be possible with this technology. But what they don't realize is that to do that, you still need to develop it into the game, and they're just not going to do it. There's no reason for Ubisoft to do that. And what's happened is Ubisoft put NFTs into Ghost Recon Breakpoint, was it? Was it Ghost Recon Breakpoint?
yeah, the one that no one cares about.
But they put it into that one, and 3 or 4 months later, they announced we're just giving up on development of this game. And those, oh yeah, by the way, those NFTs that you bought, they don't do anything anymore. And it's like, that's exactly the scam. And they are a scam.
Yeah, it's utter nonsense. It's so silly. And I mean, I keep getting ads as well on like YouTube and on all social media platforms being like, we've got a new game. It's a new NFT game where you own a mech. And it's like, no, I don't own a mech. I own a piece of paper that says that I might own a mech online, but as soon as the online thing goes down, I don't own the mech anymore. It doesn't mean anything. Nothing has any value. It's not tangible. It's a waste of time, and it's such an absolute scam that, you know, it's worse than every other microtransaction thing that I've seen before.
Well, see, the thing is,
it's macro.
The thing is, microtransactions, as dodgy as they can be, and as terrible as they can be, and as exploitative as they can be, and they can be like gambling and all those other things, like all those criticisms of microtransactions are real and justified. But those microtransactions are still in service of the game being the way that it is. So, for example, I buy swimsuits in Dead or Alive, of DLC or microtransactions or whatever, however they choose to do it. It's still in service of Dead or Alive. The thing about NFTs is that they try and position these things as you're actually buying assets that have value, and you can resell them. And what you'll hear a lot of with NFTs is people talking about play to earn as a concept. So the more you play this game, so the what's it? Axes, that's the main NFT game at the moment. The Axes game, you can sit there and play it and earn money by doing so, and then sell your NFTs for even more money, and you can actually make a living out of playing this video game and stuff. And it's like, I don't want to do that. If I'm playing a game, I want to play a game. It's not about making profit. It's not everything in life has to be profit orientated. But the minute that you start to tune games that way, that they're being developed so as to support the play to earn model, then everything in life becomes, including the games you play, everything in life becomes about earning money, and it's all about the hustle, and it's all about like kind of stuff. And then
it's the Sigma grind set.
I just can't stand it. I cannot stand this idea that everything in life is so goddamn capitalized that even their hobbies now have this earning expectation that if we're not spending time earning money, then it's wasted time. We're not being productive enough. This is exactly the this is exactly the end result of American style capitalism. That's the only thing that is valued is your ability to make money. And even now our hobbies are being tuned that way. So that's why, above and beyond everything else to do with the environment and the scams and the hackability of NFTs, the fact that they're just draining money out of people who generally don't have that much money. Above and beyond everything else, it's actually literally ruining the hobby because it's turning it into another job.
I just see no value in it. I think it's so obviously stupid that, like, when a crypto bro tries to explain what an NFT actually is, it's like going through the matrix, but the explanation still doesn't make sense because it doesn't have any value. There is no value to it. It's just a thing that doesn't exist. It's crazy. I don't know why you'd want that in a video game and why you want to profiteer off a video game like that. I mean, I do, because money. I understand that people are evil and that greed is horrific, but like, at least make it something cool. Like, well, find a cool way to steal my money.
It's just fascinating that they think that video games are on top of everything else, that video games are going to somehow be this friendly space for their utopia vision. They have this utopic vision that they're going to buy NFTs, make a fortune, have these avatars that are uniquely theirs, they own these assets and all that kind of stuff. And they just assume that game developers are going to go along with that. And does anybody honestly think that Ubisoft is going to give them that level of control over the stuff that Ubisoft creates? Of course not. It's these companies that are looking to exploit NFTs are looking to do so for their profit, not for the consumer's profit, not for the investors profit. I don't even know what NFTs owners think of themselves. Do they think themselves as investors and consumers or whatever? I don't really care because they're stupid people. But um, they honestly
investors,
think,
Matt, because they're investing into the game and they are getting the, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
I really don't care what these people think of themselves. But whatever they think of themselves, the companies that are producing these NFTs don't give a crap. They're not going to cede control over the assets. They're not going to turn these video games into these open marketplaces for NFT people to trade stuff without them getting a big, massive majority cut of what's produced. So whatever their idea about what NFTs and video games will do, it's not going to pan out that way because the big corporates with the suit people aren't going to let them. So
well,
on top
Reggie
of
suggested Animal Crossing should be an NFT and a play-to-earn game. Was the latest quote from him. He's like, I like the idea in principle. It should be an Animal Crossing. Imagine if you could like do 300 hours in Animal Crossing and then sell it.
well, Animal Crossing is the ultimate example of what an NFT person would look at and say, hey, we should turn this into a profit-making venture where every little bit of junk that you put in your house is an NFT that you can then sell for real money. That is what they think. They think that game should be turned into this marketplace thing that they can use to create and sell NFTs, completely missing the point that the whole point of Animal Crossing is to just chill, just take a moment out, escape from the real world where everything in life is a hustle because capitalism is fucking us over. And Animal Crossing is that escape, and it stops being an escape if it becomes work. The moment Animal Crossing becomes your job as such, because you're making all this money selling virtual candy machines to other people, it stops being what Animal Crossing is. And that's what's going to happen to all video games. And I hate to be defeatist about this, but this stuff it's going to happen. It just is. There's too much money to be made, and the CEOs of Square Enix and Activision and Microsoft and Sony and stuff, they just see money.
Said it all.
They see the money. Like, that's it. It's going to happen because they're going to profit from it.
Yep. It's great.
See, I'm hoping it just fizzles out. Like, I reckon that they're going to do their 1 or 2 games where they're going to be like, let's try and do this experiment, and then it's just going to be stupid and not work, and then just obvious to everyone that's a pyramid scheme, and then they can't pull that shit for the next game, and then they have to recall it or not do anything. That's what I'm hoping what's going to happen. Like
no,
Ubisoft.
Their only problem, Trent, is that they don't quite know how to make enough monies from it just yet. But they're going to work that out because there is money to be made in this stuff, because there are suckers out there that will buy it. And once they work out how to make the money from it, it's going to be in everything. We had this same problem with, originally it was DLC. Remember when everybody said, oh, Horse Armor, what a ripoff with Oblivion? Well, now everything is DLC ripoffs because they figured out how to make it work.
That it worked.
And these games sold anyway. People didn't resist. People complained, sure. They went on, would have been bulletin boards back in Oblivion. Twitter wasn't around. So they went on whatever the social media was, and the web forums and the journalists all wrote very angry articles about how dare this DLC be so exploitative, but it still ended up happening because they made money from it and nobody didn't buy the games. Same thing happened with microtransactions. It's like everybody says they're bad. They've been classified as gambling in a lot of places. Even Australia now classifies them as gambling, which is just amazing, given our government. So, but even despite that, they made money. And because of that, every game has got their microtransactions in them now, because why would they not? And that's going to happen with NFTs. Sure, everybody's writing these articles about how terrible NFTs are, and everybody loves to pile on the NFT bros on Twitter and all of that. There's that supposed resistance to what NFTs are. But the reality is, once a company makes a game with NFTs that people want to play, maybe it's Red Dead Redemption 3, GTA 6, Oblivion 2. What's the next Elder Scrolls game? I don't think they've announced the name of it yet, but whatever it is.
Hammerfall.
Yeah, Hammerfall. One of these games is going to have NFTs in it, and it's going to sell 10 million copies, and people are going to buy the NFTs. And then all of a sudden, bang, they've succeeded. People will pretend they don't like it, but they end up spending money on it anyway. And it's just going to happen. It's an inevitability, and that's defeatist and stuff, but it's just an inevitability. NFTs are going to come into the video game industry and they're going to absolutely ruin it. But people are going to make a lot of money, and there you go. So it'll just be another thing, another reason not to play video games of a certain size, and it's just going to be smaller and smaller games that adopt it too. So I
Surely at some points it would be considered predatory and all that other stuff, and then there'll be laws against it. And
well, so's microtransactions. That's the thing. You can look at it's happened every single time, and that's the thing that I find absolutely amazing, that people think that NFTs are not going to succeed in video games. It's like there's no proof of that. There's absolutely no proof that a single bad idea that has made money in this video game industry has gone away. Another good example is DRM. You know, people hated DRM, and how dare they put DRM into video games and stuff. Well, every game has DRM now.
I was thinking about this as well. It's not necessarily that NFTs are going to maintain the current form that they're in. They will adapt into a new way that will suck just as much, but will seem more palatable to some people, and they are the focus then.
There is that too, because this is all very new still. So they haven't figured out how to maximize the exploitative quality of them in a way that will get the most number of people involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
they're going to do that.
It's going to be disastrous. It won't be probably the way that Ubisoft is doing it, because the way that Ubisoft doing it is just laughable and shit. The way it will be actually done in the future will probably be far more insidious, probably be quite predatory, and it's going to be really bad. It's going to go down like the FOMO culture sort of thing as well.
Yeah, my guess would be, so the reason I think the Ubisoft one fell over and failed was because, well, first, nobody was playing the game at the point they put the NFTs
a game that was already a ghost.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that was part of it. And probably Ubisoft saw that as an experiment with a game that nobody was playing anyway, so who cares if it doesn't work? This was just a test. But I think that ultimately didn't work because they were positioning that as a kind of cosmetic DLC just in NFT form, that you buy the little helmet or whatever, and it was a item that you had, and that was kind of it. What I think will work for NFTs, and pretty sure will work actually, is the idea of play to earn. So once publishers, and we've seen Square Enix and Sega go out there and talk about play to earn as a future thing. So I'm pretty sure this is the way it's going to go. Once they work out that 0.0001% of the gaming population can make some money out of video games, they're going to figure that they can sell that concept to everybody. And then all of a sudden, everybody's going to be playing these things to try and earn some money while they're playing. And that's going to be an easy sell, because who doesn't want to earn money, right? You know, that's an easy sell.
That it taps into that childhood want of like, oh, I can make money while playing video games.
Exactly. And
what is this, Roblox?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
It's such an easy sell. It is such an easy sell. The marketers would be laughing about how easy it is. It's just like, yeah, you instead of just playing this game now, you're going to earn money as well. Once they figure out how to do that in a way that makes them even more money, then it's going to be in every single video game that you play. And that's going to ruin games. I mean, we've already been talking about, how many times have we on this podcast talked about how shit it is that video games have got so long and just so obsessed with content, endless content. What do you think it's going to be when you basically have to play a game for 24 hours straight to make any money from it day after day? It's like your full-time job times 3. If you're going to have to put 150 hours worth of content into a game per week, what's that going to do to video games as a development thing? So this is going to change how games are made in such a substantial way that is not good for anybody that actually likes games. It's hard not to be very negative about the future of the video game industry because of this in particular.
Yeah. Bill, the thing we can do is support games that are good and are not being predatory. So you should all buy Peglin.
Everyone should spend more time on Itch. There's never going to be
Yeah.
NFTs on itch. In fact, one of my favorite pushbacks against NFTs was itch itself. Their Twitter account went out and said,
Oh, it was great.
yeah, everybody who buys NFTs or is a fucking idiot, and they stood by that. Good on them. You need platforms like that, and there will always be one or two, developers that just resist as long as possible, and that's a good thing. You should support them. Like I can't see Nintendo doing NFTs for quite some time.
I can't see Devolver doing it either.
Yeah, Devolver always push back against that stuff. So there will always be some of those kind of, for one reason or another. I mean, Devolver does it because they have that countercultural thing going on pretty strongly within them, which is great.
Yeah.
I love them. I love that about them. Nintendo will do it because they're just a conservative company in terms of it's their reputation amongst younger players in particular. Like it took Nintendo a long time to embrace microtransactions and
also online
and online and any of those things. Nintendo's just a very risk averse company as far as the reputation goes, and if they become seen as a company that produces things that hurt kids as opposed to just entertain them, then they know that they'll lose a lot. So Nintendo will take their time to embrace it, and I know for a fact that Koei Tecmo also has absolutely no interest in NFTs at this stage. Not to say they won't in the future, but there are companies I think realize that NFTs have a poor reputation, and that'll slow things down for some of them. But I think ultimately, even our Nintendos and Koei Tecmos and probably even Devolver will have some form of NFT in there that they'll try and position as a good thing in one way or another.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate, but it'll happen.
Yeah.
And I don't whether I continue to play games at that point, I don't know. Maybe this will just become a retro thing, digitally download, and we just play old games forever. Because at least we'll still always have them. And
digitally downloaded because you can digitally download any game.
We'll just become we'll become an official supporter of Anbernic and emulation. That will just cover that scene because they're the only ones that are not putting NFTs in stuff.
See, what I kind of want, but I know it's bad, and it's going to be a bad game, is I kind of want it in GTA 6, but as a metaverse kind of like pyramid scheme in-game where like it can be easily manipulated and just fucked with. I want it to be like a brutal, example of what it actually is, but also be the product. I reckon that would be fun.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what GTA Online will already be.
I would like
GTA Online.
GTA Online has a goddamn casino in it.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Yeah,
and look how many copies it sold. So there you go. That's just proof. NFTs will probably be in GT6 and GTA 6, and GTA 6 will sell 70 million copies anyway, and
be on 3 generations like GTA 5.
Yeah, and just prove everything that I've said about it right. So there we go.
Right.